Bobby, Joe, and whoever the extremely famous co-host is this week. What's up? It's Dave from Walmart. Just calling to say, dude, keep kicking ass and taking names. You guys are fucking killing it. I'm swearing a lot because I'm in the middle of work, and that's how we talk out here. Just want to tell you fucking guys I love you, and fuck yeah, kick ass.
Bobby Roast Beef back here with another episode of Jigs and friggin' Bigs. We got a great show lined up for you guys. You're not going to want to miss it. All kinds of stuff to talk about. This week has been nuts. I had to send with our last guest co-host that we had on, Matt Thayer. We'll be talking about that. Joe did a little bit of fishing as well, and from what I understand, he's back on that weeknight tournament game, and we'll get all the information regarding all of what went down last Wednesday night. We have some good stuff to talk about. In the beef seat this week, we have Robert Burpee, Hops and Hooks on Instagram. We're talking snakehead in the beef seat this week. How to catch them, what gear to use to target them, best ways to find them, all kinds of good stuff. And if you've never caught one of these fish, man, it's going to rock your world. You got to track one down. We got all kinds of good stuff to talk about. We're going to tell you why it's important to fish more, and we're going to hear about that new rod that Joe had put into his arsenal from Jenko. I believe it's the Down and Dirty. Guys, you don't want to miss this. We have such a great episode for you this week. Go ahead, get yourself something delicious to enjoy. It's Memorial Day weekend. I hope you guys are having a great one. We'll see you guys in a bit right after this. We're here. It's Memorial Day weekend. Joe, how are you this week?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah,
man.
I'm still I'm enjoying the holiday weekend.
Yeah.
It's lots of drinking, lots of shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It is weird, though. It is weird that I'm sitting here with you at 10 a.m.
I know.
And instead of, usually I have a cocktail, a beer, something in my hand. This morning I got a coffee.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So it's my body's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be drinking right now.
And 365 days ago, exactly, we were on your boat, risking our lives on the Connecticut River, which is, it's amazing that we can look back and we can say, hey, we're here.
Yep.
I guess that Berkshire Bass did that derb again.
He
I
did.
Believe
same spot too.
Yeah, exactly. Same spot, just glutton for punishment. I believe I saw in some of Nate Shagnan's video, he took some video at the ramp. I believe I saw that dude at that jet boat again, and I was like, he can have it. Whatever. That's if that's the glory that he's looking for, then fine.
Who am I to get in that dude's way,
He's a solid dude to talk to. I've had a couple conversations
absolutely.
with. I can't think of his name for the life of me right now. Yep. But all he does is he goes to the opens out of that place because he knows he has that jet boat and can go places people can't where the fish are. So
and, when you
on him.
The Connecticut River is a solid fishery. It absolutely is.
It really is.
And if you're going to dedicate the time to it to pick it apart, fucking who am I to say anything about dudes jumping in? Absolutely, go and get yours, man. So it's been a wild fucking week. It has been an absolutely wild week around here at Jigs and Bigs. I only got out a couple of times this week, but both of those trips were pretty epic. A whole lot of numbers. There was a lot. Actually, I had one day this week. Well, we'll go ahead. Let's start at the beginning. I'll just go ahead and dive into my week and sort of explain what's going on. So, Monday, I edited the show, got everything all set. And last week was kind of a big week for me because it was the last time ever that I was going to run across the board at all my trivia nights, a music round. And I've got a number of reasons why. The primary one is that the music round is the round that most people attempt at cheating. And the thing is with my trivia format, I know when you're cheating. I can tell, it's not that difficult. the round is only worth 100 points out of like a possible 960 in total.
Yeah.
And when I've explained that to some people, they're like, wow, when I look back.
Well, when I look at the scores that we've earned, it's kind of a slap in the face that we've only done like 300 something out of a possible 900 plus.
Yeah, it's fucking humbling. So there's that. The other thing is that like I can never create the perfect round. You know, like I'm always going to hear like, oh,
dude, that was too much country, or I'm too old for this.
You know, bullshit like that. And I'm like, wait 7 days and there might be something fucking up your alley, dipshit. You know, it's like, right. It's ridiculous. The other thing though that blows my mind is this phenomenon. Now, I am blessed to have the amount of regulars that follow me from spot to spot. And I let them know that I appreciate them. The problem is that I get a lot of crossover. So I run one music round for the week, but everything else in the game is fresh. So what I used to do is block that player's device and then allow them to just agree or disagree. I've lost the ability to do that through software updates. Like it doesn't work that way. So I'm relying on these folks to be cool. And unfortunately, there is
one motherfucker
who just can't. Like, he can't physically do it. I've talked to him about it before, and he just fucking can't. And I'm like, fuck it. You ruined it for everybody else. I'm going to take the easy way out. But there was a short period of time where I couldn't do those media rounds because the software wasn't ready. It wasn't supporting it with the new version. Right. And I realized that it didn't affect anything. There was no change in attendance at all. It was still the same group that would show up. The same regular folks would show up regardless. So I'm going to make my life a little bit easier. And I'm still going to do the music rounds, but they're going to be, if the individual venue wants me to do them, they can pay me to do them. You know?
Yeah.
Do it that way. I'm like, that's fair enough. So I was kind of celebrating Monday with that. So I went out with a bang last week. I did butt rock bangers. And wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you? So what I did was I knew because of the multiple teams, instead of doing a 10-question round, I did 20. And I did first half on the odd days and the second half on the even days. Wouldn't you know, by the time we fucking got to Friday, that one dude was there and he had already played both of them. So I had a little trick up my sleeve. I had a booking for, congratulations, by the way, class of 2024 at Hanover High School. I had to get up Thursday morning and do an event out that way. We'll talk more about that later. Got out there, did my thing, but I had a round of graduation songs, and that's what I pulled that out of nowhere. The look on his face was fucking priceless when he was like, fuck, I'm not going to get to run the show. Because number one, butt rock is his fucking category. Number two, and it was like, oh my God, it just fucking ridiculous. And I want to go, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I want to talk about what the fuck butt rock is. Joe, you understand what butt rock is, right?
I believe so. But I don't want to say what I'm thinking and it be wrong and embarrass myself. So let's see.
Let me say this much. Butt rock is not a genre of music as much as it is like a collection of songs. It defies a single genre. It's made up of hard rock and alternative rock and industrial and new metal. And like there's little elements here and there. There's little fluctuations in genre. Shit, some butt rock is a little like country-ish in a way. Sometimes. But what it is, and I use this and I feel like it really got the point across. So imagine you're out like walking your dog and your neighbor's fucking kid that hasn't had a job in like fucking 18 months fires up his souped up Dodge Charger, right? And he backs out of the driveway and comes by and you get the aroma of either 36 black ice little pine tree air fresheners or Axe body spray, or maybe even a combination of the two. The sound you would hear coming out of that car, that's butt rock. That's butt rock.
All right.
You know what I mean? So
I know.
It was awesome. We had a good time with it. It was great. But I was looking forward, I was, like I said, I was kind of celebrating on Monday, but I was like, I'm going fishing tomorrow, sending it to Southern Connecticut with the one and only Matt Thayer. And it was the day that the episode dropped. And, I'll tell you, like when I was editing that show, man, last week's show was a ton of fun. I got so distracted just like listening to it that I was like, this just taking me forever to get through. And I'm like, I was barely editing anything. I was just enjoying it. So I'm like, this is fucking great. It was awesome. So we went out and we sent it. Matt had a spot he wanted to take me to that's got a wide variety of species. And I got to say, we pretty much caught almost all of them. Almost all of them.
Awesome.
None of them.
Were you on the boat or bank?
No, we were on the boat. We were on his boat. He's got a nice little tracker set up.
Yeah.
In fact, he's even got me kind of like contemplating the idea of maybe going down that road.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I'm still I'm still looking at the deep V stuff, just for the flexibility and everything. But I'll tell you what, man, there's a million of those little trackers all over the place, and they're cheap. So
yeah, dude, and they're easy. They're, you know, if you decide you want to go the deep V route, they're easy to flip, get rid of, to flip.
Yeah. Yep. I'm just throwing around the idea, and like I said, it's like the main reason why I want to get into this is I love fishing with other folks, and I just think for content, I could do so much with it with people on the boat. You know,
I agree. Yeah.
I just think it would be awesome. So we went out. Conditions were looking pretty good actually when we got out there, and then the clouds moved out and we got some really good sun, which was nice for the tan, but not great for. Well, actually, no, it's kind of odd. I say that, but that's when they kind of started to really fire up.
Okay.
I started, and I was primarily sticking to smaller presentations, BFS for the most part, and what really was doing it for me that day was a 1/8 ounce tungsten micro jig with it seemed like any kind of a 2-inch-ish paddle tail trailer was going to do the job because it was getting annihilated, that plastic. I caught a bluegill right off the take. Like we rounded the first point and bang, I hooked up with a bluegill. Was getting taps every once in a while. Just made a color change, which I think made quite the impact. And no, actually, I take that back. That was on a Bronco blade. And I wasn't hooking up, so I switched out to the jig, thinking maybe a little bit more subtle once the sun came up. And it was just lights out from there. Pickerel, largemouth, smallmouth, decent smallmouth. And there was something Matt pointed out about these smallmouth. All of them in the body of water, and I think we caught 5 or 6 in total. All of them have this marking on the side of their body, and it almost looks like scar tissue, like they got into it with some other type of a beast.
Sure. Yeah.
But they all have it in pretty much the exact same spot. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And Matt pointed it out. He had noticed it before. And I was just, shut the fuck up. That is crazy, man. We got into him. He was catching red ears.
That's strange. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just like talking about that. I'm wondering with the smallies, it being, you know, pretty soon past, you know, the spawning season. I'm wondering if is it a rocky body of water?
Yep, it is.
I'm thinking maybe they're rub marks.
Oh, from that could be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's my knee jerk.
It is. Actually, you can see exactly how rocky, because in the video that I took, there's a point where we're going over this one, like it's like a rock bar, and we're coming right over this one spot, and you can hear the skeg go across one of these rocks. And Matt's like, yeah, be ready. We're gonna hit a rock or two. And I look back, I was like, holy fuck, we did. And you can see right into the water, because the water was dark and like tannic.
Sure.
But the visibility was really up there. So that's why I think that changing that presentation to the micro jig was without the blade was a little bit more a good strategy. But by the end of the day, we each had put a trout in the boat, both of them rainbows, no browns. There are some browns in there. So no points added in there, but I did upgrade my yellow perch.
Oh, good.
I think it was 10 and a half, 10 and a quarter, or something like that. And even in the video, I did a little food review as well, because as I'm on my way through, I went past this like gas station market, and they had a sign up there, and it said like unforgettable grinders. And I'm like, we'll fucking see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll fucking see.
I'll be the judge of that.
So I'm like, the whole time I'm like, I was like, Matt, this is what we're doing. He's like, have fun, man. I got shit to do. I was like, all right, fine. So I'm on my way out, get all my gear together, and I stop by and I go in, and this guy was not enthused with my level of enthusiasm. I come in and I was like, so I hear you got unforgettable grinders. And he's like, oh, Jesus Christ, this asshole tourist. He goes, yeah, they're okay. And I go, oh, a nice sell. He goes, I go, what's the most popular? He's like, probably the Italian. I was like, okay, give me one of those with lettuce, onions, and hots. He's like, all right, cool. I go and I grab that sandwich. I gassed up, and it was fine. You know, that was about as good as I could get.
It was a sandwich.
It was fine. It definitely did the job. Was it unforgettable? I almost forgot about to talk about it here. Almost. So I wouldn't throw around that word there too loosely, unforgettable. But that brings us to so it was a good day. You know, a lot of numbers. I think like between the two of us, we probably caught 60, 70 fish. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it was like, when I say we were catching them, we were catching them. There was a point where I was recording some footage with a smallmouth that I had just caught. And then Matt's up front, and he's on a drop shot. He's like, holy shit, we're catching them live here. It was just awesome. So we had a good time. You know, like, Matt's a stand-up dude, and he makes amazing freaking baits. I did want to talk to him. I seriously do want to have him create a specialty, like, cutting board for Catch and Cooks with the Jigs and Bigs logo and shit.
Cool. Yeah,
definitely.
Be cool.
I'm thinking about doing some more of that stuff with the channel, and I'm thinking of with an overhead camera, having that with the logo right on it would be freaking so sweet. Unbelievable. So I think, you know what I think one of my first recipes is going to be?
What's that?
Chain pickerel nuggets. I've heard that they can be delicious, and part of it is I want to learn how to fillet again, like with that Y bone in play, you know, and learn that. I figure there might be some content there, so it could be kind of interesting. Who knows? And I'm thinking nuggets with a little bit of, like, you know, sweet Thai chili sauce could be pretty good. You know, cover up the slime dart sensation. That's because that's all I can think of. Yeah, you know, it's like, ugh. It's like eating fucking okra. Oh God. So then what does that take us to? Well, Wednesday and Thursday we were supposed to have some weather come through, and I just had other stuff going on. Specifically Thursday, I had an event in Hanover, Mass, for Hanover High. Their class of 2024 wanted to do a game show. Dude, I was up at 4 a.m. and on the road at 5. So that
man, that's a haul for you, man.
It is, man. It's a good solid 2 hours, and I thought I was making great time. I was like, "There's no traffic. This is going to be awesome." And I stopped at the Ludlow rest stop to grab a coffee, and as I was merging back on, I'm like, "Oh, the traffic caught me. Nice."
Yeah.
Thursday we got some fucking storms, dude. Like out there, and then we got dumped on, and it made me kind of think that, like, well, maybe Friday's not going to be the jam I think it is. But I was all stoked to go and send it for Bowfin. Still, I went to trivia that night in Northampton, had a great show. Everything was awesome. Things were great, and I was excited to get up Friday morning and go and hit it. And I was just like, I don't have it in me today. I just don't. You know, I'm
I feel that.
Yeah. It was crazy hot, and what did I end up doing? Oh, I shared a reel. I don't know if it was on the Bobby Roast Beef Instagram or if it was on the Jigs and Bigs. Well, it might have even been both, but it's a guy. It's like how you know it's summer in New England, and it's a guy walking around the house with the air conditioners. And he's like, do I really have to bring this downstairs? Come on. And I'm like, I feel that. So I put the ACs in the rooms where we needed them the most and got everything fired up. So
we did that.
Yeah, that was a big thing. So I was like, I really want to get that done on Friday. I should have cut the grass because it's getting stupid.
It's funny about the air conditioners, the ACs, because like we're those type, like Meg and I are those type of people where we always want it like Arctic in our room. Oh yeah. So we put ours in a couple weeks ago. Put Emma's in, put the kids in, but we didn't have it like in the living area, you know, and it was that same day, dude, my dog just looking at me, panting, like begging me.
Yeah, like, come on.
So I put it, I did the same.
Have you ever grown up with central air, Joe?
Fuck no, dude.
I did. I did.
You lucky fuck.
My folks, when I was a kid, the house I grew up in was only built in like the late 70s. Like, we lived in another house when I was a baby, but like I'll bet you when they put that house together, and that's one of the things, most of the houses on that block actually had central air.
You know what? I lie, Bobby. When I lived in Florida, all the houses down there. Yeah. Up here though, I never had it.
It was one of those things when we were buying a house, I was like, if we can find it. I don't know that I would pay money to have it installed after the fact. I mean, this house is also like 100-something years old. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you can tell by the fucking basement rotting away behind me, but it's fucking old as shit. And we are still. We actually, my wife and I might start a YouTube series called
"Fuck This House"
because we're done. Like, I'm just hoping for a fire at this point. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, I apologize if anybody is triggered by that. I'm like, whatever, but I'm like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, that's funny because like my house is newer. It was built in 2003. I bought this house when I was young, dude. I was like 24 years old. There's a lot of shit that I wish I said I wanted. Yeah. That I didn't think of, like the central air, like all that shit. You don't think of that. And like now it's like I have a well, I have fucking septic. I'm like, fuck, dude, my next house, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to be on the fucking town, city, whatever.
Yeah.
And the central air. But dude, like, so this is like a spec house. This is like one of those houses they put 1,000 of them up a year. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, we have issues that like a custom home with like a better builder don't have. So I feel you on a different level
for sure, dude.
But yeah, we've had some issues.
So I was like Friday, I'm like, I can't do it, man. So I took the day and I just was chilling with the dogs and I got my AC stuff all set up. In fact, I did manage to get that video out from the send with Matt Thayer, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, it was a good one.
And thank you. And then I was like, you know, we'll go to work that night. We'll get everything done. And I had plans to go out and fish with my buddy Paul. And man, I told him, I said, now this is like sort of how it rolls with Paul. Usually about like Monday or Tuesday, I'll be like, hey, what's the weekend look like for you? Let's get out on the water. And he's like, okay, let me check my schedule. It will be no earlier than Thursday night that I hear from him if he's available. Like no earlier. Yeah. So I'm looking at weather reports and forecasts for different stuff because I might not go. I know he likes to stay local. So I might not stay local. If I'm going to send it for a full day, I might go a few hours, you know, and send it. And then, you know, especially if I'm targeting specific species, I got to make it out and fish in Central Mass this week. It's got to happen. It's specifically for some trout, and even there's a spot in Connecticut that I want to hit as well. And if I can just carve out a full solid day, it'd make life so easy. And just hit it all. So I go and I tell him, I'm like, so this is what I'm thinking. And I was like, yeah, you and I will hit this spot. And then it dawned on me about Thursday morning. I was driving back actually from Hanover, and I'm like, shit, this is Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, oh, we got to change our spots, dude. I told him, I was like, there's one spot specifically where parking is just at a premium. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get there at first light. And the likelihood that we're going to get parking spots is good unless somebody beats us to it. You know?
Yeah.
Now he just bought a trailer. He bought a $1,600 utility trailer to haul around a $400 Ascend kayak.
I respect that.
I respect that.
Jesus, for fuck's sake, Bobby, why wasn't that a broke on the boat segment?
It really should have been. What I'm really hoping is that this will be the push for him to upgrade his kayak, to be able to do more shit. Because I feel terrible. Yeah. Like once the wind picks up, I'm like, I fish circles around him, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I'm like, I'd love to, you know, try to, you know, slow down and keep up, but like I can only go so slow. Sure. And it's just nuts. So I think this might be that like that little straw that broke the camel's back, where he's going to be like, all right, let's upgrade this fucker. Let's see what we gotta do. Do something. Because we had one hell of a day yesterday. We get out to this first spot, again, targeting bowfin. And we're going to talk about Dave Shade in a minute, but Dave had reached out to me about a body of water that I bumped into him on while I was fishing one day with Chrissy Fishing. And our conversation was amazing. He was like, that spot that you fish is such a gem in your area. There's so much diversity. Like there's so much, like, is it pressured? Yup. It gets fucking hammered. Is it small? Yeah, but that's part of the reason why it's so nice. You can really cover the entire thing in 6 hours maximum. Sure. You know, you can do the entire thing and fish it well in 6 hours. So he's like, this is great. You know, he put in a 26-inch bowfin that he pulled out of this place. Yeah. Great fish. And he's like, he's like, I know you need a bowfin too. He's like, so just keep at him. You'll find him. So our goal was first light. We get down to the launch. We're there. There was actually already, oddly enough, a trailer right there when we got there, but we both had spots. We launch, and I was like, I don't know for sure, you know, and pay attention to this. The first spot we went to, the water temps were 66, 67 degrees, which is what I was expecting, especially like after all that rain that we got on Thursday and everything else. The second body of water that we went to was like in the 70s and hit actually 82.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. And I've been dealing with the same thing.
It's unbelievable. I was like, holy fuck. So we go and we send it. And I'm like, all right, cool. It's getting to be about that time. Let's have some topwater handy. And that's what I was ready to do. I was ready to throw some topwater on. I had I had a buzz toad ready to rock. I had a popper because your boy loves a popper around some select cover. And I also had a big jig and a stick bait as a follow-up. Well, I was getting no swipes or anything on topwater. I abandoned that pretty quick, and I started flipping a jig everywhere. Got a couple of taps. I was throwing black and blue, and I decided I was going to make a color change. So I went to green pumpkin with a little bit of chartreuse because the water in there is really stained. And I'm like, okay, we'll pop that in there. And I changed out the same color pattern on the stick bait I was throwing as well. So I first started throwing black and blue with my primary and my follow-up bait, and then switched to green pumpkin. And both of them just getting the littlest tiny tap. And at first I was like, maybe that's a little too much claw on the beef craw and I need to size down. So that's where the stick bait was going to come in. And I throw that same thing, just a little tap, just a nudge, nothing. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. So my buddy, he had gone another way. Paul had gone off another way. I was fishing on his own. He ends up coming because I was going slow. I was every single laydown. I was like, let's flip this jig in between this little, pair of branches
what you should
here.
Be doing, breaking that bitch right down.
Because I knew it was going to be slow. Zero wind, like zero wind. It was like glass, and we had no cloud cover at all. So I'm like, we're going to go super slow, and I'm just going to weave the baits in and out. So I fished for like 2.5 hours. I had this one big section of bank and started working on the bank across the way. And he had fished this entire north end of the pond and came back and he's like, nothing, man. I haven't gotten even he's like a nibble here or there, but I haven't hooked up. And I said, oh, that's exactly how it's been for me, dude. So we go and he goes back to the ramp to use the facilities up there, and he comes back over and he's like, yeah, dude, I think those trout guys you talk about on the show are over there. And I was like, the loud dude? And he's like, yup, exactly. I was like, he sounds like he's drunk. He goes, yup, absolutely. I was like, he probably is. They're like, oh,
the trout are on fire. This is trout. I can't believe you guys aren't fishing for trout.
And I'm like, screw it. Grab the BFS, and we're going back to the bank. We called an audible. We're like, let's go grab breakfast, align our plan, and figure out another body of water where we're not going to get the chaos of Memorial Day weekend and can actually just hit it hard. So as we're going back to the ramp, I hook into a rainbow. After he had just missed a rainbow, I'm like, love that love that there's no skunk, but
sure.
If it was one of your relatives, this would be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So didn't do anything for the tournament whatsoever. We get in the trucks, we take off. Now, I got to tell you about this. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen happened. Paul's new trailer. He is like, I get it, man. You just start, and these utility trailers with the short tongue suck to move around. There's a learning curve.
Oh, to back up, you mean?
Dude, yeah.
Single axle.
Single axle with the shortest tongue possible. So he's
you fucking move that wheel a hair and that thing just jackknifes.
Yep. It's crazy. So there's a learning curve. And I'm like, I'm not busting balls. Everything's cool. I get it. When I got my first trailer, I took my boat and I went to this local Kmart parking lot and I just practiced. And it was even after that, I was still a fucking shit show, but I had a little bit of bearing, understanding. So Paul's trying to back out of the spot, right? And immediately just jackknifes. And he's got to go up, jump the curb a little bit. And as he does, the trailer comes right off the ball and lands on the ground. I've never seen that. I heard it and I was like, I opened the door. I was like, whoa, hold on, dude. I was like,
did he have the wrong size?
That's what I thought. Yeah, it was a 2-inch ball. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, it says right here, it's a 2-inch ball. I go, are you sure the ball's a 2-inch ball and not
that's
because it was all rusty, so you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa, maybe it's too big because it didn't look like it was sitting the right way. And then eventually he got it to sit all the way down. I'm like, that's fucking weird. I'm like, and I go, if it wasn't sitting in there the right way or making contact, I go, that's your ground. Your lights wouldn't stay on.
Yeah.
It's I go, you lose that. That's why my lights flicker because
I got loose balls.
So it kind of rattles a little bit. Like when I hit a ball, my lights will be like bing, bing, bing. So he's like, fuck, I don't know. So we got that all together. We go, we have breakfast. We decide to go to the scene of the crime where I hooked that 24-inch brown trout. Yep. This place is great because it doesn't have like a real parking lot. There's like a road that just kind of dies. And then it's not even an actual state-run ramp. It's just like there's a sand and like rock area that kind of just drifts into the shallows. So
one of my favorite bodies of water is the same way. Yeah. You can't put a boat in there. You can put a kayak and maybe like a canoe in there. That's it.
And I mean, it was the most traffic I'd ever seen on there. But when I say that, there was one small aluminum boat that had gone, I don't know what they were doing, man. I saw them, then they disappeared. Then I noticed like tucked in the, like there's a spot where there's all this brush that comes up real heavy, but there's a small channel that goes through, and there were like 3 boats there. I was like, is there a fucking drug orgy happening back there? What the fuck is actually happening? This was Springfield, by the way, so very likely.
Very likely.
So I'm like, all right, that's fucking weird. And then I saw like 2 other wreck kayakers and a couple of paddleboarders. Which were just a pain in the ass because I had to piss so bad. And I'm like, I'm not looking to catch a charge. Would you guys go somewhere? Like, what the fuck?
Oh, God, that's the worst.
It is. I'm like, my bladder's going to explode. Go away. And they're fucking, I'm like, God damn it. So, we hit the water here, and again, like spinning gear and BFS. I'm like, I'm here for trout. That's what we're doing. I caught everything but. I probably caught 30 fish that outing alone. It was ridiculous. These beautiful red breast fucking sunfish, like super vibrant colors. Yeah. And I don't think the video that I actually have of them does them justice. Like seeing them firsthand,
it never does.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I caught a mess of crappie. I caught 2 or 3, and I was like, I've never caught this many crappie. Then I caught 7 fucking more.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool.
The biggest one came in, and it was the first one I caught at 10.5 inches. All the other ones were between 8 and 9 inches for the most part. Caught a bunch of dink bass and a handful of slime darts as well. And it was a good time. And Paul was catching them. Paul caught a couple of largemouth. He actually found a largemouth that was still on a bed. And he's like, I'm going to bed fish this motherfucker. I was like, you go ahead and have at it.
Yeah.
And he caught it. I was like, beautiful, man. That's awesome. That's an accomplishment. So I was like, just make sure you release them right away, because who knows if there's and I was catching sunfish all around that area. Yep. So I'm like, if there are fry there, I go get that motherfucker back there, because otherwise it's golden corral.
Yeah, that's how all the beds I saw this past week were. They were already just all, sunfish, bluegill. The bass were gone,
and they're getting ready to spawn, man. The bluegill are getting ready, and it's like they're gonna be on it for quite a while, which is good, because that's amazing forage for the bass population and the other predator fish too.
Yep.
So then we're out there, and the wind had picked up quite a bit at this point, and Paul was kind of struggling a little bit. He was like, dude, I have thrown everything in the fucking world at these fish, and they're not biting. You know what I caught them on, dude? A handful of baits. I caught them on I take that back. It was only 2 baits, but I changed the trailer on the last bait like 5 times. I caught them on a bladed, finesse bladed jig, an 1/8 ounce, the Jackal Darrow break, right?
Yeah.
It was just the right kind of size. I was like, we got a little bit of wind, so the vibration might be kind of nice. And I'm like, this color that I'm throwing, specifically the watercolor, was like, yes, throw this. And it was great. There were a number of sunfish that were pecking it. The hook on that is a little bit larger than some of my other jigs that I throw for BFS. So I'm like, I want to ensure that I can get into some trout if they're there. So I'm going to downsize that a little bit. And I swapped out to a Bronco blade. I'm like, little bit of vibration. I started with a tiny black curly tail grub until that thing got demolished. And then I swapped it out to some type of a 2-inch plastic, like probably a paddle tail, and like 3 different colors, just because they were handy. And I'm like, that's how fast I was going through fish. I'm like, when I was on them, it was just like, holy shit, this is crazy. And I might be dead for a little while, and I'll lump into the next group. And it was crazy. And I was like, this is what I've been catching all these fish on, dude. All of them, even the bass. All of them. And he's like, and he's throwing all this other stuff. And I was like, listen, I go, the wind is ripping right now. I go, we're coming around to this last bank. I go, intentionally, I'm going to switch to a conventional size bait. And I threw a 1/2 ounce jackhammer. Not a bite, not a sniff, nothing.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's, I go, that's what it is. It's just that this is a little bit more subtle. And,
Sure.
It's, it's crazy. And he even said, he's like, I have to learn how to like size down and like, just because if they're not biting that one specific size or like there's no magic bait. And I think he's starting to understand that it's not a magic bait. It's not like they decide they wake up that morning and they're like, you know what? A blade bait sounds fantastic. I think that sounds great. So he and I, we get back to the ramp, and I think we started what is going to be a new tradition this summer. Last summer, I got into the habit of carrying my cooler with me in my truck almost everywhere, and I would fill it up with like seltzer waters or diet sodas and stuff like that. Occasionally, I'd fill it up with some beers, and we're out on the water, and I was like, dude, we need some ramp beers. This thing's hardly a ramp, but I'm like, we need some ramp beers. Yeah. And right where we were fishing, there happens to be a
Packy.
So I go over and I grab a couple of, actually, they had some Polish imported beers there. So I grabbed those from Pavel, the Polish Hammer. And I grabbed some of my weird ass fucking Clamato beers and a bag of pretzels. We sat by the ramp sitting on my trailer, just crushing beers and drinking and eating pretzels and bullshitting. And that's where he was like, he's like, I think I have to start looking into changing out my kayak. I was like, dude, the fucking wind, because he was getting his ass handed to him in that last,
And you know what, too? Because I always like dabble the idea of getting another kayak.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, there's so many of them. Nice kayaks that are set up already on fucking Marketplace.
Dude, I was looking at Marketplace because I was looking at boats, and I would see, I actually found there's a guy, I forget where in the country he is, but he has a Titan 13.5, exactly like mine, but in orange. And like he's selling it with like an XI3 at the bow and all kinds of shit for like $5,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys don't realize how much of a bargain that is. Like, that's with all the, and he's like, to buy it like stripped down with just the pedal drive, the seat, and I think the electronics or like in some of the like the rudder upgrades and things, which those boats you kind of need. I think he was still only looking for like 2,500 or $3,000. I was like, and that's a boat where it'll last you a decade. Or more, it's like, if you take care of it. So it's pretty badass. But yeah, I think for him, that's something that's he's gotta make that leap, I think. And when he does, I think he's going to be, I think you'll have a hard time keeping him in the kayak, because it won't be tedious. In other kayak news, and then I'll shut the fuck up. In other kayak news, Dave Urquhart, who we all heard at the intro calling in, Dave Urquhart, I think the company is Kayak City that he's worked with out in his way in Cali.
Out in Cali.
He got his bona fide RVR over there and has done a lot of content, like talking them up and like every time he gets an accessory, he does an install and he reviews it and everything, and then all the on the water stuff. So he's been loving it. Kayak City did something really fucking cool.
Yep, they did.
They did. They gave his son his first kayak, which like this youth sit-in kayak, and he's got video of him like out on the water, like the paddle just whipping around back and forth, and he's having an absolute blast. And then I don't know where they were. I'm guessing it was like a rental or something, but he got video of his wife with the baby on the kayak.
Yeah.
And this is what I said to him last night. He was like, so while I was doing, last night I was on Binya's live stream, and my phone is blowing up, and it's Dave. We're talking. He's sending me all this stuff. And he's like, now my wife wants a kayak so she can take the baby out. And I was like, Dave.
Bro, this is an opportunity, bro.
I said, you need to give her the RVR, which is an amazing kayak. It's a great kayak. If she wants to fish with you, she can. If she just wants to paddle around with the baby, she absolutely can.
Yeah.
But you get a pedal kayak. I go, that's what you do. You get the pedal kayak, and then this way you've got access, Yeah,
of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why go and spend X amount of money on another paddle kayak when you can upgrade to where the kayak that's going to get the most use, will be the one with the pedals. I'm like, I'm just saying. And he's like, I don't know if I could do that. I was like, you got to dream. You got to shoot for the stars, my friend. Like, what is the worst thing she's going to say? I don't want your fucking leftovers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
That's all good. You know, because don't get me wrong, the RVR is a great boat. But again, it's like it is developed for rivers, you know?
Sure.
And it really is. And that it excels there. So I was just like, man, you have an opportunity where you can get into this option game and you're like, oh, I'm going to go fish Clear Lake. Okay. You know, go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking hey, dude. I rambled for far too long there. I hope it was entertaining. Joe, you got out a little bit this week, including a little Wednesday night send, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, I got out a couple times this week. I took the weekend off just because of the holiday and just didn't want to deal with people at the boat ramps and stuff. But
for sure.
Yeah, no, it started off Monday. I had Monday off, so I did a quick send just to kind of film some content at actually the place that we had the tournament at OGO that you brought the stuff to. Yeah, Singletary. I went out there. That's a spot that's always been pretty good to me. Hadn't fished it yet this year, so I figured I'd go check it out. Got onto some fish pretty quick at a couple spots I like there. Started off with, bladed jig. I started loud, then realized that they weren't really liking that. So I went to a swim jig, got a couple taps. I was like, I know they're there. I'm seeing them on live following it, but they just don't want to commit.
Yep.
So dude, I just threw on a wacky rig. Just started fucking hitting them, bringing them up, keeping it just above the rocks on some ledges, bringing it up the ledge. And I just started to hit a couple of good ones.
Nice.
I got a huge fucking sunfish on a wacky rig in that spot.
Really? And
it was gnarly. So I broke down that first spot, beat it up pretty good, decided all right, I'm going to try the bank this time of year when they're already off the beds. I like to hug the bank in certain spots here. So I ran the bank, hooked into another good one. It was a smallie. I believe I still have to look at the footage because I'm still editing it, but shook me. It was they have nice smallies in there, but they're hard to catch there. You don't catch them very often. There's not like an abundance of them.
Yep.
But I hook into that, and it was on that BFS setup, and it just I don't think we'll talk about it when I do the gear of the week. But he just ended up shaking the hook. I was so bummed. Because dude, I've only caught one smallie in there. So
when they're that rare, sure.
Yeah. So they are of size at this place too. But so it shook me off. I was bummed. Kept working the bank. Got onto a lot of rats. Nothing to call home about. The weather was kind of chilly. It was chilly in the morning. I just wore like shorts, and I thank God I had a hoodie in my truck because I got into the boat. I was like, whoa, it's like a little colder than I expected. It was it was cloud cover. I wasn't expecting that. And but it was good for the fishing. Once, I think like 11:30, once those clouds finally broke and the sun popped out, it kind of died down pretty good.
Yep.
Tried some other spots. I know didn't get too much, and then I ended up getting a freaking tank of a pickerel.
I love that.
Yeah, like at the end on it was on a hump I fish there.
Yep.
Quite often. Another spot I've gotten smallies on there, but so I got that. Kind of just fucked around for a little bit after that. Had to bring it in because had to go get the little one from school.
Oh yeah.
So that was a pretty good. Got some good content that that's in my queue to edit and get out on YouTube. But work Tuesday. Wednesday, I decided to make my way back into the Wednesday night league.
Yep.
Nice. Tournaments. Decided to make my partner for this year, Jeremiah, my one of my twins. Yeah. So he's been asking. I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, you've been on him. You've been doing well this year. I was like, let's go. Hurt some feelings, take some money.
Yeah, exactly.
And
how'd you do?
We get out there. He was so fucking pumped. It was so funny. He's like, he's like very methodical about everything he does. He's like, okay, we have this here ready to go. We have this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to start with this. I was like, perfect, dude. I was like, let's let it rip. And it's funny. He like started off at the back of the boat and then very, very slowly made his way up to the front with me. So like we both were fishing the front of the boat, which is cool, you know, because he's finally gained that confidence with his casting and everything.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, dude, we both worked the front of the boat. But first spot we go to, I get into a couple crappie and a pickerel. I'm like, okay, this is not what we want for a bass tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, we got to figure this out real quick. And this is a body of water. I haven't fished since I was probably like 17, 18 years old.
Really, that
long?
No shit.
I never splashed them. Yeah, and I think I think the last time I think I really ice fished it was probably like 10, 15 years ago, and it was ice fishing.
Yeah.
So there's another spot. So I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. I kind of know. I'm seeing beds. I'm seeing the bluegill on the beds. I'm like, all right. So I sat down. I was like, dude, Jeremiah, keep just beating up this area. And I got onto my map. I sit down on my console, look at my map just to kind of see what's here. And I go, all right, this spot right here. I was like, I like this. It's out of, you know, I was like, let's go hit this. He's like, all right. And this place is very shallow. Like I have to like methodically get to every place. So
yeah, you got to weave around all these humps. Yep.
Exactly. So we get to that spot. I'm like, all right, dude. And he's like, I want to try. He loves his fucking soft swim baits, dude. His paddle tails.
Dude,
that's like
they get bit.
His favorite bait is the fucking Mega Bass Spark Shad.
Yep.
But I finally got him off that. Like, not that I got him off. He's like, all right, I'm not getting bit. He's like, I want to try something new. So I was like, dude, let's hook up a wacky rig. He's like, I was like, and we'll weight it. He's like, perfect. So we do that. So he's out throwing. I decided to throw out a, what was it? It was a jackhammer, stealth blade.
All right.
Yep. With a warbird on the back, from Fish or Die. Second cast with that thing, and I was keeping it high. I was keeping it, you know, because it's fairly shallow, so it's just under the, under the surface. I think second or third casts, I get a hit, set the hook, and I knew it was a good one right off the rip. I was like, okay. I was like, JR, I was like, this is a good one. He's like, what do you want me to do? I was like, nothing. You're good. So I get that in the boat. It was it was 3.6, I think it was when I weighed it.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, perfect, dude. I was like, and this is a very small area. I'm talking like you when I drop the YouTube video, you'll see.
Yep.
Like it was like I had to be careful turning had to maneuver the boat and turn it with only the trolling motor. Couldn't even put the big big motor on. Yeah, using the shallow water anchors, all that. So I go, all right, dude. I was like, they're way up. So I caught this one. It was up against it looked like it was almost like an old beaver dam that just had broken down over the years. It was just sitting like in the shallows right next to that thing. Yeah. So I go, dude, get that thing up as close as you can. I was like, let's, he's like, okay. So I turn the boat, try to work a different area. I do that, and 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, I'm on. And I just dropped that video on TikTok and Instagram of him catching this fish. So I'm like, all right.
That was Wednesday?
Yeah, that was Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So he hooks into this thing. I'm like, and one thing I got from my last YouTube video with him when he caught that big smallie was there's a lot of comments like, because I landed the fish, I grabbed the rod and landed it. I got a lot of shit for that. And which, I get. And I was like, so for this one, I was like, no, dude, it's you.
It's all you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing I ended up doing is I lipped it when he brought it to the boat and I brought it out. But anyway, so he gets it, the thing jumps, and you can actually when I do the YouTube video, you'll hear it. Mm-hmm. You can actually hear me say like, oh shit, Jared, that's a big one. And I go, so I'm telling him, I helped him. The only thing I did help him with was his drag. He's still kind of learning the whole drag thing. Oh yeah. It's funny because I actually kind of fucked it up and put it too loose.
Yep. And it's like,
yeah. So I'm like, fuck. And but yeah, dude. So he gets that thing in the boat. I grab it. I lip it for him. It was just a hair under 4 pounds,
dude. Yes.
Yeah. So that was his new PB for largemouth. It was a state pin for youth. Yep. So the kid's gotten 3 state pins in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
So he was so fucking pumped. We did submit it into the multi-species. He was pumped. We get in the live wells. You know, he's like, his confidence is through the roof. So
for sure.
Yeah. So we end up, we beat up that spot. We probably stayed there a little longer because it was like grabbing 2 almost 4 pound fish out of the same spot that's this small. Was insane.
Yeah.
So we beat it up a little bit more. We probably shouldn't have. We probably should have like moved out of there. So we wasted a little too much time there. But then we just started the next spot. It was just a lot of rats. It's like rat after rat after rat.
Were you guys able to limit out?
Yeah, we got 4.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was.
I see. So the rats didn't make the minimum.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. They didn't make the minimum.
Little fucking jerks.
But Jeremiah got, he got another one. One thing I noticed and I fucked up on is the water temp. It was a good water temp there. It was a high water temp. It was like almost mid 70s.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was low, close to mid 70s. So in my mind, this is an evening. So it's like starting, the sun's going down. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I was like, I'm going to throw a frog. I was like, they're wicked shallow. They're in these fucking pads that are coming up. I'm going to throw a frog. I look in my box and forget that I have not put any of my top water shit into the boat yet. So I was like, fuck. I was all bummed out about that. But what I did do is a little trick that Dan Griffin has told me.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I just threw a non-weighted wacky rig with a very buoyant bait. And just kind of I kept my rod tip up and just kind of dragged it like right on the top.
Oh, yeah.
Moved it.
Yep.
And I got a couple hits on it. I just couldn't get them to commit fully.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to get rid of, I'm not going to do this. And a couple more rats. We end up getting in there. Jeremiah got another one for the box. I think it was like 1.5 pounds.
Yeah. Nice.
We end up getting 4th place, and he missed lunker by 4 ounces.
No shit.
Yeah, he missed the lunker payout by 4 ounces.
That's still, what a good day for his first tournament out.
His first tournament, dude. It was he was starting to get the bug before. Now he's like,
he's got it. He's making his own jersey and shit. Dude.
Yep. He's like, all right, where's the next one? Where's the next, and it's tough because unfortunately it's tough for me to do every Wednesday night league with work, just, trying to get out earlier and whatever. And we have the twins every other week.
Yep.
Granted, we have a great co-parenting relationship with their dad. Yeah. So I could be like, hey dude, we're going to fish.
We're going to go fish.
Like, yeah, man, come grab them,
That's awesome, man.
But it's just, it's just about when I get out of work and whatnot. And this next one's kind of far for me to be able to get out in time. So it's going to be a game time decision Wednesday, whether I'm going to be able to make that one.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, we had a blast.
That's awesome.
He had a blast. He's got 3 pins in the last 2 weeks, 2 crappie. Now the largemouth, it was I think it was like 18 and a half inches that we submitted. Released all the fish, no problem. I threw up the picture of my big one and his big one, him holding them at the ramp. I put that on social media.
Awesome,
that was pretty cool. But yeah, that was the fishing I got this week. The rest of the week was kind of yesterday. Went to my sister's house, or was it yesterday? Night before, Friday night, we went to my sister's house, just chilled there, had some cocktails. I decided that after our debacle last year, I probably wasn't going to put the boat anywhere on Memorial Day weekend with all the riffraff out there.
Yeah, until you forget and then do it in the next time.
Yeah, so instead, today, the weather's supposed to be, you and I were talking about, I didn't realize the weather was supposed to be kind of shitty tomorrow, so probably won't get out there. I got to go pick up a lawnmower here in a little bit that I had to purchase because mine shit the bed, and
that's
it, man.
Fucking A.
No.
we'll go ahead. We'll jump right into your headlines in just a second. But one thing I do want to mention beforehand, Friday night at trivia, there was a handful of teams that were playing at this one table. And this one girl, her team was Lil Fit Chick. And I forget how we got into the conversation. I think it was Memorial Day. And I was like, I'm going to be fishing my ass off this weekend. That's the plan. And she's like, oh, you fish? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. She goes, my brother loves to fish. You know, she's showing me pictures on like his Facebook of like, you know, like huge catfish and stuff. He's local in this area. And I'm like, oh, no shit. He'd probably really like the, and I said, I was like, we do a multi-species scavenger hunt tournament. I was like, he'd probably really like it. I go, I host a podcast, a fishing podcast. She's like, you host a fishing podcast? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I know, I'm that geeky about it. And then she goes, what's it called? And I said, Jigs and Bigs. And she goes, wait, Jigs and Bigs? And I go, yeah. She goes, no, he listens to you guys.
That's awesome.
So I had a good laugh about that. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. So, yeah, that was just something cool. I wanted to mention that because I love that. When the worlds cross like that, I'm like, dude, that is the fucking best. All right, I know you got places to go. Let's go ahead and do these headlines.
Yeah. All right, so we got a couple stories. They're quick ones because they're kind of, still breaking news. But unfortunately, they are not good ones this week. But so first one, and thanks to J+B Fishing, and golly, some people have been sending me news headlines to look into on Instagram and Facebook. The one I remember is Gravy. I think this is the one he sent me. But the headline here is cheater caught altering fish at Sealy Big Bass Splash. So Sealy Outdoors owner Bob Sealy and his son-in-law Chris Bennett have announced that an angler who competed in the Big Bass Splash tournament over the weekend on Toledo Bend Reservoir has been arrested. Bennett explained that the angler, who was not named, turned in a bass at the weigh-in that was immediately flagged by the weight master. Oh. Bennett said the fish was set aside and investigation revealed that the bass had lead weights inside of it to increase its weight. Agents determined that All right, Bobby. So before I say this next thing,
oh God,
obviously we are fishermen, and we can pretty much get any bass you look at it. We're pretty good within a pound that we could guess it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same thing with any tournament angler, right? Mm-hmm. You would think within a pound. So Bennett said the fish was set aside and the investigation revealed that the bass had lead weights. Agents determined that there were 2.59 pounds of lead used to illegally increase this fish's weight.
Holy shit.
So obviously, if we hold up a 3-pound fish, we're going to know it's not 5.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, maybe you could get away with it if you were like, oh yeah, this is a 10-pound fish and it's almost a teener. You know what I mean? Like you might be able to, but dude,
with bass and the famous one from last year of the walleye, it's like, come on, dude. Or not that I'm saying you should do this. Why would you put all the weights into one fish?
Yeah.
So this comes from Wire to Fish, by the way. So they spoke with the Sabine Parish law enforcement and confirmed that the angler was arrested and he was charged with felony fraud. Fishing contest fraud brings up to a $3,000 fine and 1 year in jail.
Oh wow.
Sealy and Bennett stated that the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries detained the individual after he fled the scene. Additionally, Bob Sealy issued a statement reassuring anglers of their commitment to safeguarding integrity in the sport, emphasizing that the accused individual will face a permanent ban from all future Big Bass Splash events. Yeah, so it had. I'm looking at the weights here. It had 3 14-ounce weights in it. Or at least one of them that I'm showing is 14 ounces. They look to be all the same. They are like the shit you see them fucking using for big ocean water.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. It's ridiculous. So that's our first story there. That's still going on. Like I said, some of the big tournaments I've had, obviously we've talked about the polygraph.
Oh, yeah.
And they have fucking metal detectors, dude, there that they're swiping the fish with. So.
No, that's smart. You got to do what you got to do,
Yeah, for assholes like this.
Fuck.
So there's that. And the next one, both anglers ejected after boat wreck on Sam Rayburn.
Oh,
so this is a quick one. There's not too much information on it yet, but game wardens from Texas Parks and Wildlife are currently investigating an incident at Lake Sam Rayburn involving a bass boat collision with a large dirt pile. So I'm looking at the picture of the boat here, dude, and you can't even see the water. It looks like they just totally launched into this big old dirt pile. One man was seriously injured while another sustained minor injuries. The accident occurred when the boat's operator lost control around 3 p.m. on Friday due to a mechanical issue. This resulted in both occupants being ejected from the vessel. Lake Rayburn Fire Chief Brett Holloway confirmed that the boat came to rest between the east end of the dam and the Humphrey family pavilion. The older man suffered a broken femur just above the knee and was airlifted to a hospital. The younger man sustained minor injuries and was transported by ambulance for medical treatment. This accident investigation is ongoing.
Fuck. He's never going to come back from that broken femur.
Yeah, no. I drive obviously I have a bass boat, and dude, sometimes Bobby, you and I have gone fucking mock Jesus in my boat.
Yeah.
And I am very confident in my abilities these days, but dude, anything can happen. There's one thing there's certain types of wakes I don't fuck around with. Yeah. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully, they have a speedy recovery and insurance pays for this boat because it's not supposed to be on land. It looks like he took it onto a motocross track in this photo.
That's insane. I'm going to look that up afterwards. God.
You got to look at it. It's right on Wired to Fish. It has a picture of the boat up against the fucking dirt pile.
Yep.
And again, that might be the water you see in the bottom right corner, but it's still fucking 20 feet away from shore. If that's the water. So yeah, that's the stories this week. Hopefully we find something a little bit more positive for next week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there is one little bit of news in the Jigs and Bigs-averse and in the fishing world that came to light this week is that a close friend of the show, Becca Yaseen, formerly known as Fishing with Becca, and I'll get to that in a moment. Becca and Guggen are no more. And that was news that dropped. I think she posted a video on Tuesday about it. I want to say it was either Monday or Tuesday, or maybe actually might even been Sunday, to tell you the truth. And I'll tell you, like, I think So here's the general breakdown. Like it was like a contract negotiation is what it sounds like. Like she needed them to work with her at such and such a level, and it was one of these situations where I guess, from the way she describes it in her video, that they're going through like a restructuring over there and kind of getting back to the core of like what Guggen was about beforehand. And they're changing things up, and they were just like, hey, we're not going to be doing this any further. It looks like we're not going to be working together. And like, Guggen, for, say what you want about Guggen. I mean, for Becca, Guggen was her primary source of income. You know what I mean? Like it was, it was really what funded her ability to do a lot of different things. And, she loves Guggen as a company. Like I didn't really grasp all of it until I saw her video, but she was like, the day I graduated high school was the day I knew like I was going to take my GoPro and make fishing content. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be creating. And she's been a hustler forever. Like she's worked multiple jobs and stuff to be able to make this happen. And then when she went full time, when she started working with Guggen, it was a game changer for her. So there's a certain point of this that I think she is really at some point or another a little crushed over it, because she did hold Guggen to such a high regard. But her content has obviously changed a little bit. A lot of people have said like, well, but she doesn't really fish much. It's more camping. I was like, no. She fishes in most of her videos. I'm a big supporter of Becca's, and she still does fish. She doesn't. It's not I'm doing a kayak send here or something like that. It's usually I'm traveling. I'm in this area. This is the waterway. It is what it is, and it's her being her more authentic self.
Sure.
And then so I'm proud of, I'm happy for her in a way, but with this, I know that she's a little bit like it came as a shock. And I think a lot of other people are pretty shocked for it. But I think, for my 2 cents, my hot take, this is the beginning of, that was act 1 of Becca in the outdoors industry, in the outdoors world, in the outdoors space. I think we are going to see huge things come from Becca in terms of content and adventure. And I mean, this is only that first act. I think that this is an opportunity for her to really blossom and kind of like go into that next level and really, she doesn't have the restrictions now, which is very, very nice. So, you know, while it can be scary, like I think she's gonna hammer it out of the park. Now, so she had done all this, and then on Thursday, I got a notification right as I was at trivia that she was doing a live, and I'm like, Becca never does lives. I was like, well, what's going on? So I went and I checked out this live, and she had changed her YouTube handle. And that's why I said formerly known as Fishing with Becca. She dropped the fishing with. And now her username on there is Becca Y. Y being her last name initial. And she's like, she goes, I just want to kind of be me. And there's a lot of folks that were in the comments that are like, so like you're not fishing anymore?
So like that means you're not gonna be fishing anymore?
And shit like that. And I'm like, you guys can't see the forest for the trees. Like, you know what I mean? I think for her, this is a great move. She's getting out of the box of having to be fishing content or fishing related content or somehow tie it to fishing. There's a whole lot of possibilities I think I see going for her in the future.
Yeah, you know, she's young. A lot of shit's going to happen within her life, you know, good and bad, that, you know, you and me on the fucking knocking on the door of 40, you in your 40s, like
me knocking on the door of 50. Jesus
Christ. It's you know, never take it as a negative, take it as a positive to better yourself. There's so many opportunities out there for someone with her talents and her motivation and you know, her just hard work ethic. You know, she just needs to continue to find her niche and she'll kill it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be huge things coming her way. But I'm excited for the future of Becca Y on YouTube, you know, where this is going to go. So we are going to, you know, we're going to have her on as a guest co-host soon. She's a tough one because like she's always on the road. Like she's on the road a lot. So for her to carve time out and say like, I'm going to have cell service, I'm going to have, you know, that might be a little bit dicey. So we're going to have her on soon. We'll get her feedback and everything, but it's something that broke this week. So I figured we should kind of talk about it. But Becca, congratulations. The world is officially your oyster. There's so much. It's almost like she graduated again, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome. And she does still like love the Guggen brand. Like she's like, I don't want you guys to like not buy Guggen stuff or anything. She's like, I want them to be successful as well. But she's like, if they're not going to work with me, then I'm going to grow in the directions I'm going to grow in. I think that's badass.
Yeah. And you know what? Good on, again, we've talked about Guggen a million times. Like, you know, they do things very correctly in the aspect of, you know, I still feel that they're a huge reason why young kids are getting into fishing or have gotten into fishing. But good on them for identifying that they need to restructure. Yeah. You know, a lot of businesses don't do that. And that because they are now in that corporate world. You know what I mean? A lot of businesses don't do that. And when they don't do that, they don't survive. So good on them for realizing that they need to, you know, do that as well. Yeah,
it's a hard step to take. So I mean, you know, it's crazy, and it is a hard pill to swallow when you're like, oh, we're not going to be working any further because you know, it's like fuck, I've invested so much into this, and again, like hindsight being 2020. Everybody who's ever worked any kind of a job where they've been there for a long period of time and have left realize, like when I say a long period of time, I'm talking like a decade or more. But like when you realize when you're gone, it's just like you're forgotten about. Like there's no fucking loyalty. There's none of that. None of that's real. I've worked one
of my favorite sayings, Bobby.
Yep. Oh,
don't kill yourself for a job that'll have you replaced before your obituary comes out.
Yep. 100%. 100%. That's accurate. God damn it. That's good. Yeah. It is freaking nuts. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a real quick break, guys. When we get back, we got a great Just the Tip segment for you. We got we're going to talk about that Jenko rod that Joe is throwing around and Gear of the Week. And then in segment 3, we've got Robert Burpee, Hops and Hooks on Instagram. We're going to talk Snakehead in our third segment. We'll see you guys in a bit. Do not go too far. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast.
Perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
Ouch, ouch, you're on my hair. I don't really have that problem these days, but anyway, let's talk Just the Tip this week. There's something that I kind of thought about yesterday. And it all kind of came from a conversation I had with Paul, again, while we were just crushing ramp beers and eating pretzels. We were talking and he's just like, man, he's like, how do you do this? Like you caught like stupid numbers of fish. And I'm like, honestly, man, I go, I would never, ever have thought this, but I go, I've always been told from the beginning when it comes to fishing that experience is key. Time on the water is really what promotes growth. You can read everything, you could watch the content, you could do all these other things and know what's supposed to happen on a written page, you know, and be able to reiterate that to somebody. But it's only time on the water with different variables that are really going to teach you that. And I knew that was crystal clear early on when I started, fishing with Sean the Fisherman. Sean's got a lifetime of fishing behind him. You know, and when you're like, oh shit, this guy's been fishing for 30 some years. Like, that's crazy. I've only picked it up and gotten serious about it within the last few years. How am I ever going to catch up? Let me tell you, the tip is this: fish more. Don't worry about your timeline or somebody else's timeline. Fish more. And the thing is this: you will be amazed within the span of, and it's not going to happen overnight. It is not. It's going to take years, but it's only going to take a few, maybe 4, maybe 5, where you're going to be like, holy shit, I am not the angler I was a few years ago. You know, the little things, the little nuance that you can pick up and will help you in the future to make decisions, will help you build your confidence. That's got a big one, because that's one of the things I heard Paul say yesterday. He was like, dude, I have zero confidence in any of the baits I'm throwing. And I was just like, you got to change that. And part of that, like, a lot of people say, oh, you want to build confidence in a bait, go and fish it all the time. Yes. Okay. I understand that. But in some instances, you're trying to force feed fish a bait. And that's not necessarily always going to build confidence. It's more, I find the best way to kind of build confidence and experience is twofold. Take a moment and think before you tie on that next lure. Don't make what you're tying on a decision of,
well, we'll see if they want to eat this.
Because that's just junk fishing, and there's a time and place for that, but there's a specific time or place for that. Think about what the reaction was from the last bait you were throwing. Think about the conditions of where you are. Think about, are there even fish there? Can you identify that there are fish there? Are you getting follows? Are you getting taps?
Yep.
You know, what is it? And then think about the variables and change one of those things. Jesus Christ, I wish I knew where I heard that before. That's a Sean the Fisherman original. You know, take a moment and change one of those factors, one of those variables, and then make an adjustment based on that. So, okay, so maybe it wasn't color. Okay, so what about size? Let's go ahead and bring this down a little bit. And you know what? I'll be perfectly honest. I think we threw in the towel too early at that first spot that we fished yesterday. I think that I probably could have taken some of my own medicine that I'm dishing out now. But in all honesty, I kind of want to go grab breakfast anyway. You know, that is what it is. But you would be amazed. It only takes a few years. I'd say 3 to 5 years, and you will see a remarkable difference in who you are as an angler. The other thing that's going to help you get there,
take fucking notes.
And I don't mean you have to write out a detailed explanation of what your fishing was like. Though if you do, you'll get the best data you can with all of that. But by having some type of a log to go on, and that might be your social media. You know, maybe you post some stuff on there and you're like, I'm catching them here. That's going to give you a date. It's going to give you any of the, like if you were catching them on a certain bait and you list that, great. As long as you can keep in mind that body of water. What were the conditions that day? What was the time of day? What was, you know, any of those variables? The weather is absolutely paramount to this. You know, you got to figure out, was it cloudy? Was it windy? Was there a cold front? Were you pre or post front? Did it rain at all? You know, little details like that will start to put things in order. And it would just be amazing within a few years. And the better notes you take, the faster it's going to get there, you know, but you're going to see things get that much more, you're just going to see more results, and you'll see more of an evolution as an angler if you just get out. And the primary thing is to fish more. So there's a lot of folks out there that are like, dude, I only get to fish on, the occasional Saturday. So I'm fishing maybe 3 or 4 times in a month. Okay. So that means for you, it's probably more important to get your data together and pay special attention to it to get it all in order. If maybe your goal isn't necessarily to take more detailed notes and look back at them, maybe you want to actually try to fish more, then break down what you're doing. Figure out a way to maximize so that you can have your stuff ready to go in your vehicle. So if you're like, fuck, I have an hour. Go to a body of water where you are, and wherever you are, like even if it's that one same body of water, you can start to pick apart these things. And some of that stuff is going to work on other bodies of water. You can apply this stuff elsewhere. And then if it's not working there, you'll then have a place where you can make decisions and kind of figure and grow a little bit as an angler. So that's my just the tip this week is like fish more. If you really want to grow your experience quickly, the only way to do that is to put hours on the water. And you can learn as much from the bad days. Sometimes you can learn more from the bad days than you can on the good days. And you just got to put the puzzle pieces together. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That was freaking badass. Before we jump into Gear of the Week, I do just want to mention this. We don't have an FTG this week, but I have had no shortage of people in my DMs saying, I got an FTG for you. Holy fucking shit. Guys, I need you to call the hotline with the FTGs. Leave us a voice message. You got 3 minutes that you can rant about anything that you want. So the hotline is available all the time. You can call us 24/7 whenever you're thinking of it. But when you get you're like, I have an FTG, don't worry about DMing me. Give us a call on the hotline. You can, I think it's actually in our link tree. If you go to our link tree and the link that's in an Instagram bio, you can see the hotline number right there. If it's not, I'm going to fix that. So you guys go ahead and we'll have that on there for you. But let's go ahead and talk new gear.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Bigs Gear of the Week.
I love this because we're talking BFS, but not my stuff.
No. So we're gonna talk my stuff for a minute, and it's funny because I totally like brain dumped the name of this rod and told Bobby it was the Down and Dirty. The Down and Dirty is actually the burger I had from 7B's Bar and Grill the other day in Westfield,
7B's
Mass.
is awesome. Oh.
7B's is the shit.
It's great.
So if you ever in Westfield, Massachusetts, you want a good meal and some good booze, hit up 7B's on 202 Southampton Road. They're awesome. Anywho, what we're talking about is the Jenko Double Down.
The Double Down. Okay.
The Double Down BFS casting rod. I ended up getting this in a 7-foot medium. Bobby, this is a great rod. It's a great rod. It's got a almost like I'm a split grip kind of guy. I've always loved split grips. This does not have a split grip, but it's a cool like wind grip. Really, really soft touch, tacky. It's a great grip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's bright ass red, which I kind of love. But no, this is a moderate fast 7-foot. It's very whippy. It's very that tip has a lot of movement to it. I have struggled a little bit. Not because of the rod, just because of my the way I like set hooks, the way I fish. BFS is very, I wouldn't say new to me, but it's something I'm still trying to figure out. It's fun as hell. I feel like I've been having a tough time setting the hooks. I feel like I really have to change the way I set the hook on this from my normal typical tackle. That smallmouth that we talked about, I feel like I lost that one because I didn't quite get a good hook set on it. I feel like because I kind of swing for the fences when I set the hook. I'm one of those people. I feel like when I do that with this rod, it just kind of loads, but never actually sets, if that makes sense.
It does. Yep.
I feel like the tip kind of just stays while the rest of the rod just kind of goes with me. And I've been trying to figure that out. It's a work in progress. I'll get it figured out because I hate not excelling at something.
Yeah.
But other than that, like that's just my personal thing. It's a great rod. It was $130. Great quality, great guides, great reel seat. It's super sensitive. It's a very sensitive rod. I've thrown a couple different things on it. Definitely worth the money. Jenko's a cool company. Jenko is not a JDM company. It's actually, So I believe his name's Colton Jennings. He actually started this company as a teenager from Kentucky.
No shit. Okay.
He was in like MLF for a minute and stuff, but him and his dad his dad like helps him out. They're big into crappie fishing as well, but they did a good job. I was apprehensive at first because there has been Jenko products I've seen that I was like, I don't know. But I read the reviews on the rod. They were good. Bought it. I'm happy with it. So if you guys are looking for a BFS casting rod that is, a pretty good price point. Again, it's not JDM. A lot of people try to go to JDM rods. But for $130, it's a phenomenal rod. I highly recommend it. They had it at Tackle Warehouse.
Is it a 2-piece?
Nope, it's a 1-piece.
It is a 1-piece. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 1-piece.
Okay.
It's a 1-piece rod. It's a good rod, man.
And it's a 7-foot medium, and its optimal weight is an 1/8 ounce to a 1/4 ounce, is what they're saying. So what are you throwing on there? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so the first thing I threw on there was it was an 1/8 ounce jig, and then a swim jig of all. And then what I threw on was a paddle tail on a 1/16 ounce jig head or swim jig head, but with that paddle tail, got it up to probably around an 1/8 ounce or so.
Yeah.
What else? I did wacky rig it. I threw a wacky rig on that thing.
I'll bet you that rod would be ideal for a wacky.
So that's what I think I'm going to use that rod for from here on out. I will say, Bobby, I was kind of like, so the reel I used for it, I used the Corrado BFS reel. I had been running straight fluoro to it. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to take a Bobby roast beef. Braid to leader. Dude, I can't tell you how many times, because if I get like, I get a little too confident in myself with it, because, you know, BFS is much like, it's the way you have to cast it, throw it, flip it, skip it is much different. It's like, it feels much lighter. You definitely have to fire and adjust. And sometimes I forget to do that. So there has been times where I'm like, not like, I wouldn't say I like backlash it, but there'll be like a loop in there. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, let me get that loop out real quick. And with 6 pound fluorocarbon, sometimes it gets kinked. And as you're taking that loop out, the fucking line just breaks.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'm fucking sick of that. That's happened to me twice on it. So I will be going to a braid to fluoro leader on that.
Yep.
It actually happened to me. I did that at my tournament with Jeremiah, and I was like, I just like threw it on the deck. I was like, all right, grab me one of my spinning rods,
exactly.
one of my spinning setups. And but yeah, all in all, it's a great rod. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do braid to fluoro. I think then too, I will be more confident in being able to set the hook the way I like setting the hook.
Yep.
Having a little bit more. I mean, obviously braid's a lot tougher. What size braid do you use, Bobby, on your BFS?
So I'm using Reaction Tackle High Vis 10-pound braid. So
okay, that's what I was thinking of getting 10. Okay.
I'm using 10-pound braid to a 4-pound fluoro leader.
Woo, that's little.
Your boy doesn't fuck around, man. But again, like I'm topping out at 1/8 ounce. Like I'm topping out at an 1/8 ounce for my baits for the most part. Like there's some stuff that's a little bit heavier than that when I add a trailer. But for the most part, I'm kind of topping out at about an 1/8 ounce with that rod.
Yeah.
And my rod is a light. It's not even medium. It's a light rod.
Yeah. I had to stick with a medium. If I was doing like, I try to break out and do multi-species. I entered the contest. I'm going to continue to enter the contest, but oh dude, it's so hard for me to be like, okay, I'm going out to get multi-species. I'm like, I'm going to go for this, that. And I look over, I'm like, oh, I bet you there's some bass on that lay down over there.
Oh, there very well could be, man.
Yeah. And so I always end up, my brain's just like bass fishing. So, but so the big setup I did like on it, and unfortunately I felt like I figured it out. It was whether sometimes I run a Nico, sometimes a weighted wacky rig. I actually kind of had it more Nico rig the other day, and I put a 1/32 nail weight in there just because the stick bait I like to use doesn't quite get down as quick as I'd like it to. So that 1/32 make it's perfect. Yeah. So I'm still within that 1/8 ounce for sure. But that's the Jenko rod. I highly recommend it. It's a great rod, and it's for a BFS centric rod. It's at a great price point of $130.
And I'll tell you guys, like that rod is a great rod, because there's a lot of people that like they'll ask me about my combo, and when I tell them like I'm using a Shimano Majestic XT, it's a 2-piece rod, and people look at me like I just farted. They're like, what?
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah. I go, when you get into that world of like light and ultralight bait casting gear, a lot of that stuff is just 2-piece. Don't let it frighten you. But if you're somebody who's like, I gotta have a 1-piece rod, I gotta have it. This is a good opportunity to look into. I don't know. I might look into, when they get it back in stock, I might look into picking up one of these. The 6'6" though.
Yeah.
For the ultralight.
So I actually, it's funny when you say when they're back in stock, there was only 2 left when I got mine. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to look into that, because that would be a little bit more just to kind of play around with it and see what we think.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Another gear aside from this, I did get some cool late breaking news the other day, Bobby.
Oh,
so we talked the Fish or Die sharpshooter, the new Ned bait.
Oh yeah. I can't wait.
Tackle Warehouse just made a big order of those, and they are going to be in Tackle Warehouse. Yep. So They did that. The Ajax, they needed more of the Ajax.
Yep.
So Taylor is busting his ass right now trying to get that order fulfilled. And
I feel like goby baits right now are so popular, and that Ajax just lays right into that.
so I'm going to have to send you some pictures after we get off this, Bobby. So you know Ryan Anderson, you know, essentially my cousin. He was up on Lake Oneida all week.
All right, nice.
And he's like, and I was like, hey, dude, before you go, stop by the house. I got some baits for you. And I gave him some of the sharpshooter. I gave him a couple sharpshooters because my order hadn't come in yet, so I only had a couple. And then I gave him a pack of the Ajax. He sent me pictures of them just smashing them on the goby. And it was funny because one of the kids he went with was drop shotting and caught a goby on a drop shot. So
no shit.
He's like, yeah. So he's like, all right, tosses on the goby, dude, and they were smashing them.
That's the forage, dude. I freaking love that. That is awesome.
Yep.
That is freaking absolutely bananas. Guys, we are going to take a quick break. We're going to circle back around. We have Robert Burpee, the snakehead guru in New Jersey. And I mentioned in this interview, I said to him, I was like, I don't know what it is. This year, we have had multiple anglers from New Jersey on the show, and it just seems like that's the spot. Him, Janelle, Powerbait Paul, and when I mentioned Powerbait Paul, he knew exactly what I was talking about. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, Paul's all right. And but yeah, so we have a good conversation. We're talking snakehead here, we're talking wings, and we're talking beer. Those are three things that Bobby Roast Beef absolutely can be all about in life. Don't go too far. Much more coming up right after this. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. You know, if there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. What Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Bigs sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy. Everybody, Bobby Roast Beef back here with another Jigs and Bigs interview segment. This week in the beef seat, we got Robert Burpee with us, who is, I came across him on Instagram. He's under the handle Hops and Hooks. And he is I would say damn near a snakehead addict. Is that accurate, Robert?
Pretty close to it, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say. I think addict's the right word.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what. And I got a little taste. You know, I got my first bump of snakehead goodness recently. And when I came across your profile, I was like, I got to get this guy on the show. Also, your Instagram bio kind of hits on a couple of different levels. Beer reviews and wing reviews. And I'm here to say that I am here for all of that. All about it. And Jigs and Bigs is the right show for all of those things. So awesome. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into it and get started with, I'm a sucker for an origin story. I like to start at the beginning. Let's talk about how you discovered the outdoors, like talk about like where you're based, all this stuff, how you got to the point where you're at right now.
For sure. Yeah. So I've been fishing my whole life. I'm from Jersey. I grew up really saltwater fishing with my dad for striper, flounder, stuff like that.
Yep.
He had like a 40-foot pro line we would take out all the time. Ended up selling it. so I couldn't fish anymore. So that's when I started to get into freshwater fishing. And then I was doing bass fishing for, I would say, 5 years or so. And then pretty much stopped fishing just because I got a girlfriend, and then I stopped fishing.
Very common, man. Very common story. Yeah.
And then, so I stopped fishing for about 5 or 6 years. That ended, picked up fishing again. And then that's when I discovered snakeheads through basically Instagram, just seeing other people post about them. And I'm like, I want to get one of those. It took me about 2 years to finally get one, but once I did get one,
no kidding.
That's when it all started after that.
I'll tell you, it's crazy because there's a lot of folks in a lot of parts of this country that have no idea what catching snakehead are like.
For sure, yeah.
And I mean, they're an invasive species. Up here in Massachusetts, every like year or so, you'll hear somebody say like, "Oh, did you hear someone caught a snakehead in such and such town?" And they didn't. It's usual most of the time. It's a misidentified bowfin. Exactly. You know what I mean? Which I think equally is amazing animal. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
It really is. But you got to do a little bit of homework to be able to track them down, find out where the waters are, where you can find them. And I mean, they are invasive. There's some theories about like where they're going to go and everything. What is it that attracted you to snakehead?
In the beginning, they just looked cool to me, honestly. I mean, I was catching 2-pound bass my whole life, and I see this, like this 30-inch like monstrous looking thing. So I wanted to try it, but then once I finally got one, the fight and the topwater hit is what really sucked me in.
Now, you primarily catch them on topwater?
85% of the time, I say.
No kidding.
If they're not biting, I'll try to throw in like a chatterbait or a spinnerbait, something like that. But I always start with topwater, and I'll get it from there.
No kidding. All right. Yeah. Well, I had recently, I'd gone down to Jersey. We're not far out of like, I think we were kind of near Camden, where we were fishing for them, and got into it was a third bite of the day. It was a snakehead, and I was floored. It wasn't a big one. 24 and a half inches,
That's not too bad.
Yeah, not bad. But I mean, like the first bowfin I ever caught, my PB bowfin is only 18 inches. It wasn't a big bowfin at all, but I caught that on spinning gear on a weightless Senko. Just like trying to clean up on my way back to the ramp. I'm like, I got to get a bite. Let's see what we can do. We'll throw this old lucky stick here and see what happens. Thing basically straightened out an EWG hook once I got it in the net. Like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, the joint caught in one of the loops and just it straightened it right out. But I can only compare it to like if you were to have a pit bull on the end of your like medium heavy line.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah,
sure.
it's absolutely wild. And snakehead are, as ferocious, it's like, in some ways, you may say even more. Like, I could not believe when that thing hit my, it was a chatterbait EVO I was throwing. And I heard something hit the surface, and I was like, I've been on a roll with this lately. Let's go cast to it and see what happens. And then bang, it was game on. Unfreaking believable. Right. They're hardy fish, these fish. Like they can take the abuse. And I've heard before that there's a theory, and this was when I was fishing in Maryland one time. People would say that they're dumb. They don't have that knowledge of artificial lures because so many of them, at least this is a couple of years ago, at that time, were being taken out and harvested. So it's not like they were getting released and like getting an education as to like, don't bite that shiny thing. Right. But I think that's great. I think it makes them a whole lot more fun to catch because they're savage.
Yeah. Nowadays, I feel like they're starting to get more of a conscience of what not to hit and what to hit, especially with frogs, because one spot I was hammering all last year. Yep. This year, they don't want anything to do with any kind of lure.
Really?
So yeah, I mean they'll look right at it, they'll get spooked by it, or so. I think they're definitely starting to figure it out a little bit.
Oh yeah, we do. I don't know if you're familiar with the show or not, but we do a nationwide multi-species tournament. It's a scavenger hunt style tournament, so it's just checking off boxes of all these different species that you can nail down. And it's funny, like we put snakehead on there because there's enough of a portion of the country where you can find them. Florida up to Jersey, really.
Right.
And I don't know if you're going anywhere west where you're going to catch any snakehead that I can think of.
I think they're making their way into the Mississippi River right
Jesus. Now. Watch out.
Yeah, so whoever states are connected to that, I'm sure they'll be there eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just it's a matter of time. Who knows, you know? But and those species, I mean, they're worth traveling for the if you've never caught a snakehead, I highly recommend you go ahead and do it. So do me a favor, you've got a little bit of experience doing this. If somebody is interested in going about it for the first time, what would you recommend that they do to be prepared?
First thing is find the right spot to go to. So figure out where they're coming in from, whether it's the Delaware River, the Potomac, wherever the main water source is, and then look for tributaries off of that, whether it's either a little creek or a little tidal pool. That's where we want to go. They'll be in there. And then make sure you have the right equipment to handle them before you catch them. Definitely need lip grippers. You're not going to be able to handle them without lip grippers. Yep. Good pair of pliers. I would recommend a net. It makes it 10 times easier.
Absolutely.
And you're going the medium heavy to heavy frogging setup, 7 foot, 7.2 with. I use 50-pound braid. Some guys use 80-pound braid, but I use 50. So yeah, but the main part is making sure you're fishing the right waters. Yeah. Just take 20 minutes to go on Google Maps and just follow creeks down, see where they lead to and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah.
And I think you nailed it. I think finding those main river systems and then working backwards is a great way to look for, or, you know, we actually use FishBrain to find out where they were.
I use FishBrain all the time. Yeah.
You can't trust it all the time because people will misidentify fish or they'll put the wrong spot for things. But if you see enough stuff, you can say, like, I have a pretty good feeling like I could probably hook up here. And I was freaking unbelievable, man. Have you ever eaten a snakehead?
I have not. It is on my list. However, I do not trust the waters in my area to harvest that.
Thank you for saying that, man. So the snakehead that I when Janelle Orsino and I were on the water and I caught this snakehead, I was like, listen, I go, New Jersey state law says that I'm not supposed to release this, right? And she's like, nope. I was like, okay. So I go, we're going to catch and cook this thing. Dude, this fish was so full of parasites. It was ridiculous.
Really?
And I know you can cook them out. I know that. But
yeah, I would. The problem, after I saw them,
the problem for me is that we had an entire day of fishing, like an entire full day. This was just a half day that we were out. Like it was 25 minutes in, we caught the snakehead. We're like, holy shit, this is great. We bring the fish back and we're like, I go to fillet them and it's just chock full of parasites. I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I don't want to ruin tomorrow and have us be camping, you know, in South Jersey, have the New Jersey Devil run up on us because we're like, you know, who needs this shit? So, we decided we would basically gift that back to, it was actually another lake. I was like, yep, there's turtles in here. Eagles are going to come and get it.
Yeah,
yep, that's what we're going to do. But I'm like, yeah, I just could not take the chance. I've heard that they're delicious, and I've heard that, like a couple of years ago, like at least in Maryland, you could sell them for $17 a pound.
Yeah, I think Maryland does have a program where you can. I think it might be $50. It's like $50 a fish, pretty much.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's unbelievable, man. So let's talk like what's your short list of confidence baits like, and you can get into brands and stuff too if you want to. Like when you're going out, what's your like top 3 that you're going to have nearby?
So my number 1 is always going to be the American Snakehead Custom Frog King Jr. It's probably my all-time favorite frog.
Yep.
It's a great. It can do a little bit of everything. It's good for go through lilies, duckweed. It's great out in the open water because it has a little blade on the back of it.
Oh, it's that frog. That's awesome. Yeah.
So that's personally, I don't think colors matter too much.
Yep.
For top water, I would always go black's always my go-to color.
Yep.
If I do want to choose a certain color, but and then I'll usually have on either a popping frog.
Yep.
or like a double bladed frog, something that makes a little bit more noise than the king frog.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the king frog junior is something I always have tied on.
You ever throw like a what am I thinking of here? Like a toad, like a plastic toad bait that you
like
or even a buzz bait. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Not too much actually. I have tried buzz baits, but I'm always worried that they're going to get all bent up and everything.
They definitely will, yeah.
So I don't want to spend $10 on a buzz bait and then not have a buzz bait anymore. That's
a good point. How many fish do you usually get out of one of those frogs? And I mean, from an American snakehead, I would assume that they're built a little bit tougher.
I've had frogs last me the whole season.
No
probably
shit.
Over 50 fish.
Oh, that's a good endorsement.
I mean, sometimes you'll get unlucky and it lasts for 3 fish because fish will grab it a certain way. But I mean, I sharpen the hooks once a week on all of my frogs that I'm using.
Yeah.
But the plastic wise, they last for. It's hard to rip them.
That's amazing. That's a really big endorsement right there because I would think if you throw a typical frog like that, like a booyah, like a pad crasher, that sucker's gonna get ripped wide open. You know, it's eventually not gonna float. It's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I rip them more usually when I'm trying to get them off the pliers than the fish rip them.
That makes sense too because they have a whole lot more like hard material around the roof of their mouth, and like that snakehead that I caught, I choked that chatterbait.
Oh, yeah, he swallows it, yeah.
And it was of no use to me at all. It was completely bent out. It's one they get in the net. Once they get in the net, they're just fighting it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unhooking them is a whole nother battle in itself. So
let's get a little bit weird with it. So your Instagram is Hops and Hooks.
Mm-hmm.
We got your short list of like what you're taking out on the water, going out hunting the snakes. But what's your top 3 favorite beers, like all time?
Ooh, all time. So it's hard to pick number 1.
Corona's, this is a tough one.
Corona Extra's in there.
Real? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bush, not Bush Light, regular Bush is in there.
Bush is in there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a big Bush kick right now.
Okay.
Number 3. I feel like I need to choose like more of a craft beer, but I don't know.
You know,
I might have to go with maybe just Guinness.
Oh, dude, Guinness is great all the time. You know, it's funny. I look at it like this. I like to drink beer, period. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I like all different styles. I lean towards certain things depending on what the mood is, but I like it all. You know what I mean? A good, like what I call a lawnmower beer, like a Miller Lite, you know?
Yeah, great one.
It's got its place, you know? It's absolutely got its place. So I do want to talk a little about, like on your story today, you mentioned hauling kayaks all over the place, taking a spill on the rocks and not really having much fish to show for it and definitely needing a beer. I went out today with a buddy of mine. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I caught around 30 fish. And none of them were a species that I needed for the tournament. It was the biggest, like, just letdown. I did upgrade my black crappie, which was kind of nice. I was throwing BFS gear. Let me guess, you do not want to go and fish for a snakehead with bait finesse stuff, right?
I try it out, but I don't like using lighter tackle than what I what it calls for.
I wouldn't do it, man. No way. I love BFS. I love light gear, but it's. I mean,
sounds like a broken rod to me.
You can do some amazing stuff. Like I caught a 24-inch brown trout on BFS, which is awesome. But it's the teeth, man. You know that light leader is just gonna get cut right up. And some of those JDM baits that I like to throw are not cheap, so I don't want to lose $15 on an 1/8 ounce, bladed jig because a bowfin or a snakehead decided it wanted a snack. So, today was just one of those days. My buddy I went out with, and he doesn't fish like I do. I fish like 4 days a week. I'm in it all the time. He went out, he caught a couple, which was great, but he's watching me go through these fish, and I'm just like, oh, look at this red breast sunfish. Oh, beautiful. Chuck this in here. And I could tell he needed a beer. So I went, I was like, all right, man, let's go back. We sat down and we killed a 6-pack at the ramp with a bag of pretzels, kayaks still in the water. I was like, see, we need to do this more often, dude. We need to do this a little bit more often. Now, the other thing that you mentioned was wing reviews. You consider yourself a wing aficionado?
I wouldn't, no.
No, all right.
No, because people, it's more of just like a, I don't know, because like when people ask me like what would you consider the perfect wing? Like how would you make the perfect wing? I don't know how to cook the perfect wing, but I just know this
when
is
you've had them
wing.
and they've been good. Yeah. What's your favorite, like your top 3 list of like favorite sauces?
I'm a big honey hot guy.
Oh yeah,
it's always my go-to.
Okay.
And then some places have like a hot garlic or like a mile of garlic.
Oh yeah, that's always great.
Yeah,
the more garlic, the better.
Oh, for sure. And then sometimes places have like an Old Bay, like Old Bay butter or something going on.
I can definitely respect that too.
Yeah, a
lot of people sleep on the Old Bay unless you're like in the Maryland area, but it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic. So let's get into like a couple of fishing stories here, man. Like, I usually save this question for the end of the interview, but I want to dive right in because I'm excited about Snakehead, and maybe these stories involve Snakehead. What I want 2 stories from you. I'm looking for the story. Like, let's say you're at like an event, like a wedding or something. And maybe you're at the bar and somebody says, oh, yeah, hey, man, that's right. You fish, don't you? And you're going to come back with some type of let me tell you about this story. Like, what's that story you're going to lead with? It might be a PB. It might be like something where just shit got crazy. And then the other story I want is the biggest, like when it all went to shit.
All right. I like that. Okay. So we'll start with the good and one with the bad.
Yep.
So the good was 2 years ago, I got my first snakehead on a kayak. Still my PB to this day. It's 34-incher.
Nice.
Had no idea what I was doing. Someone told me there was snakehead in there. Go check it out.
Yep.
And I see a fry ball. Little school of baby snakehead. Didn't know what that was at the time. But then I see this big ass snakehead guarding it. Toss a frog out there, smacks it, and I think it's all tangled in the lilies. It's a whole thing. Finally get in the boat. I was scared of the thing. I didn't want to touch it.
Oh, I believe it, dude.
It was. It's
like adrenaline rush times a million. Yeah.
And finally released it, all good to go. But so my first snakehead on my kayak is still my PB snakehead.
That's awesome. That's coming in hot right there.
Yeah, I haven't come close to it yet. So hopefully this year, but we'll see. But now my worst story. Last year I was doing a online tournament for snakehead.
Okay.
So basically how it goes. You have your bump board, you measure the fish, biggest of 5 fish, you send to your judge, they verify it, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
First fish of the day is like a close to a 30-incher.
Okay.
29-30. I didn't spread my bump board out all the way.
Oh, gotcha.
So I thought there were some like subtract, like however much I didn't like open it.
Like they would adjust for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But they canceled the fish.
Yep.
And I would have came in first if that fish counted, but I ended up coming in like fifth because I lost a fish over it.
Online tournaments are just like that. I'm learning that this year. I've been doing online tournaments for the last couple of years, like lightly, not heavy competition or anything like that.
Right.
But this year, I am the tournament director for the series that we run, and I'm seeing this from a whole different level. Like questions will come in, and I'm just like, oh, this is like some folks are just green to it. They don't know, so I'm trying to be as understanding as possible when somebody says, oh, hey, what do I do in this situation? Or if they like mis-ID a fish. which can happen. I mean, when you're talking to like various species of trout, and if we got into like the sunfish, we just have one umbrella category, sunfish. That's it.
Right.
I don't care if it's a warhead. I don't care. Like I'm not counting fins. It's nuts. But yeah, it is. It's crazy. That can be a huge letdown, and it can for some folks, they get a fish denied like that, and they're just like, I'm not doing this anymore. They're like, nope. Right. You know what I mean? And they don't bounce back from it. But I'm assuming that you bounce back from it. So that's
I mean, I did still did good, but I went in the first place. It is what it is.
Absolutely, dude. Damn. Yeah, that can be really, really tough. That is tough. One thing that I learned about Jersey that I thought was pretty cool, and actually it's odd. This year alone, we've had more guests from New Jersey than any other year we've been on the show. We've had you, we've had Janelle Orsino, and we've had Powerbait Paul. He was on recently. Powerbait Paul, freaking, I'm just a monster. But when I was out in your area, there was a package up in Massachusetts. We call them package stores. There was a liquor store that we had stopped in, and there was a sign out front. This caught my eye. When we were looking for the place where we were camping. It caught my eye, and there was a pickerel tournament going on. And it was a catch and keep. We actually stopped in to get beer and everything. And I was asking the guy behind the counter, and I was like, so how does this work? He goes, oh, you can fish anywhere you want in the state, but you have to be at the weigh-in site by 3 p.m. So you fill your live well, whatever, and you do it. I'm just like, that is crazy. Chain pickerel are a native fish in Massachusetts. Right. I've never caught so many chain pickerels when I was in Jersey, ever.
Yeah, they're loaded here.
They're unbelievable. Sure. And I'll tell you what, snakehead make catching chain pickerel look like tame, like goldfish. They really do.
For sure.
It's insane. They're a lot of fun to catch and everything, but it's crazy. Do they do any tournaments like that for snakehead, or is Jersey even concerned about the invasiveness of snakehead?
So yes and no. So I think right now the New Jersey State website says you can dispatch them or you can release them to the same water you got them from.
Oh, okay.
However, there's a lot of guys that still are like, oh, you need to kill, yada yada. But
yeah.
But honestly, I haven't seen too many New Jersey-based snakehead tournaments.
Really?
But there should be more, yeah. But yeah, I know Maryland has a lot, Virginia has a lot.
Oh yeah.
But I haven't seen too many in Jersey yet. No one told me about them. So.
I think that's going to start popping off. I really do. I think that I hate to say that it's a niche, but like it could draw a lot from people who are into bass fishing that are looking for some type of fish that's a little bit more aggressive,
For sure.
Yeah, there's something about those fish that just are amazing. And I feel like the same thing goes for bowfin, but like bowfin are native, it's crazy.
Oh yeah. And bowfin are a little harder to come by than snakehead are. Yeah, I mean I've most of the time bowfin and snakehead are in the same waters.
A lot of time, yeah.
And I've gotten 4 bowfin in my life and countless snakehead. So I usually get 1 bowfin a year.
No kidding. It's funny in our area. Like, we have bowfin in Massachusetts. Locally, I think there are 1, 2, 3 bodies of water that I know of where there are bowfin, and one of those bodies of water is the Connecticut River.
Right.
And then I'm thinking I've got past guests on the show from like Texas that have caught them. They've caught them in mid. So I think they're as far as like the spread of where they are in the country, I think their reach further, but I just don't think you come across them as often as you do with snakehead.
I know a lot of people catch them out in Louisiana too.
Oh yeah. They call them mudfish down there, I think.
Yeah, mudfish, right? Yeah. But they're a little more they can acclimate to the weather a little bit better than snakehead can. Because snakehead aren't even in North Jersey because they can't handle the cold as much.
Oh, really? Oh, then they're not going to be up in New England for a while.
No.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, same with kind of like the bullseye down in Florida.
Yep.
They're not in North Florida because they can't handle the weather
Oh,
only in
that's
South
right.
Florida.
Yeah, because there's the northern snakehead, and then there's the other species, the bullseye,
yeah.
which looks like it's very different.
Yeah, yeah, they get longer, but not as fat, but
all right.
they look pretty cool.
They do. They have a cool pattern on them.
Yeah, for sure. They have like the orange belly to them.
Yep.
Never caught one yet, but definitely on the list.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that. No, that's freaking awesome, man. So aside from snakehead, what would be your like second place and third place species to target? And with a saltwater background, you can go into there too.
I'm still gonna go with bass or crappie.
Oh, really? Okay, nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I'm a big crappie guy. And in the wintertime, I bass fish, so I do like bass tournaments and everything too.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm a big bass guy too.
I love bass, man. I specifically love smallmouth. Like they're just special. They're just all piss and vinegar. But I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for largemouth. They're it's crazy. The week that I went down to Jersey and I caught my first snakehead, I was blown away. But I was blown away on the ride down because a couple days before I broke my largemouth PB and I caught a 7.
Oh, there you go.
And I was just testing out a new trailer on a jig, and I'm like, this is just money, absolute money. I'm like, this is what it's all about. It's freaking badass. Yeah, there's just something about bass. I don't think I'm ever going to shake that, but what can you do, right? What can you do?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I like to maybe in a selfish way ask this question to get a little bit of intel about all different areas. So like I have this sort of practice where like after I go out and I'm fishing and it's maybe it's absolute hot garbage and I'll go and recoup and whoever I'm with, we'll go out, we'll have a real good meal together. Or it's an amazing day, we'll go out and we'll celebrate over some good eats and some good drinks. Where is your like local mom and pop spot that you're gonna go to celebrate those days?
I'm gonna say Shalene's Irish Pub in what town's that in? Westville. Shalene's Irish Pub in Westville.
Westville. All right.
It's like a dive Irish bar. It's cheap, good wings, great roast beef sandwiches, and the beer's always cold. So.
I love it. I love that. I can get down with an Irish bar any day. That's freaking badass. Robert, this was
2 minutes from my house.
That's awesome, dude. That's perfect.
Yeah, for real.
It's a short stumble home,
Yep.
That's nice.
Yep,
That's always very nice, man. Dude, that is badass. Have you traveled anywhere specifically to fish?
So I go to Connecticut and Massachusetts every month.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my
where?
Not to make a whole story, but
where in Mass?
Sterling, Massachusetts.
Shut the fuck up! That's right in the middle of the state.
Yeah, I go. So my girlfriend, long story short, owns a cat rescue. So we transport cats up there every month.
Oh.
So that's why we go up there. We'll get an Airbnb in Massachusetts or Connecticut, depending how far we want to drive. But
you ever?
So I go there a lot.
You ever take your kayak up with you?
Nah, I always do bank fishing. I always try to target a trout when I'm up there because we don't really have them in my area.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But
you hit me up next time you're up this way.
Yeah, next weekend. I'm going up. So
no shit. Yeah, we'll get you on some trout for sure. I got some pretty good fisheries we can go to. If you're game to wade, I got some really good spots we can go fish.
Yeah, I can wade.
Yeah.
I got my Amazon wader, so.
Yeah. Oh,
and I've been to Virginia a lot, too, to fish.
Oh, there you go. Nice. Now,
but, good.
What's on your bucket list? Like, where would you love to be?
I would say going chasing bullseyes and peacock down in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
And also, like, sturgeon out on the West Coast are very appealing to me, too.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. So I think that'd be pretty cool to try out.
Sturgeon are an amazing, amazing species. We have them up here in the Connecticut River, and they are heavily protected in Massachusetts.
Yeah, you can't even fish for them, right?
Yeah, it's like you can't target them. And basically, if you get one to the boat or to the bank and you're like they're like, cut your line. I'm like, holy shit, really that bad? Yeah, they don't fuck around. And I've heard stories, and I don't know how true this is, but I've heard stories that people would post pictures on like social media and that the state would prosecute based on that. I'm like, what the
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's Massachusetts. That's the Massachusetts.
Yeah, right.
They got to get theirs. You know what I'm saying? I had breakfast this morning in between fishing spots with my buddy, and we went to this new spot, and they happened to have Keno. So I'm like, let's go ahead and gamble. I made a $14 donation to the state. You know, thank you very much.
That's funny.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. No, I had a feeling Florida was going to be on your short list of spots to hit.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on most people's list.
Oh yeah, it's a whole other. That's one thing about Florida. Like we get I would say every month I get a message from somebody in the South Florida area going like,
"Hey man, how come you don't have peacock bass or this rare random cichlid or whatever?"
You know, and I'm like, because that's one tiny little random ecosystem that's full of invasives that like the rest of the country can't compete with. So if I put all of those in there, I'm like, as long as you've got access to them, that's great. And then other times we'll get people that'll, they'll say, oh, we don't have trout near us. I have to travel a whole 2 hours to go catch a trout. And I'm just like, oh, dang it. I'm like, it takes like 13 species to win. There's like 23 on the board. Right now, our first place guy has 17, which is just a mess, but he's an animal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's an animal.
17.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I got to get back down to Jersey and catch myself some more snakehead. In fact, I may be doing a trade show in Atlantic City, and I may take some time to do some snakehead fishing while I'm down there because it was a blast. It's super exhilarating. It's amazing how you can just be like, where did all those endorphins go after just one single catch? Like it's a whole other animal. Right. It's like a small snakehead is like catching your PB largemouth. It just is. Yeah. It really is. And I think that's the appeal, man. Awesome. Well, dude, this was absolutely fantastic, dude. Like, absolutely great. Yeah. Are you working with any companies you want to shout out? Do you have any promo codes or anything like that?
No, actually, I mean, I have my own merch line right now. It's a Catching Bass, Eat an Ass shirt.
Dude.
I only have a few left, but I do have some left coming green and black, so I do have that. But other than that, no, I'm no sponsors, no no sponsors, no pro ambassador, just me. So
that's freaking badass, though. I for a second I was like, is Robert the guy that's running American Snakehead? But they're based in Maryland, right?
No, he's out in Jersey too. He lives 15 minutes from me. Yeah, he's super local. Yeah,
no kidding.
But people buy his stuff out in Florida, everywhere.
Yep.
Owner's name is Bear. Super cool guy. So
very, very cool, man. I've taken a look at some of the stuff over there. Like, I mean, really like specialized gear, and I think that's really kind of what it takes if you're gonna target such a specialized fish. Like, you got to go out and like, I think Drew Gregory said it the best when we did our live show at the Columbus, Ohio Fishing Expo. We asked him to do our Just the Tip segment to give a tip to everybody. And he was like, be prepared to catch the biggest fish of your lifetime. Don't go out there with like nicked up line or, rusty hooks or anything like that. Go out there and with the mentality that you could potentially, because you could catch the fish of a lifetime. And I think that if you're targeting such a specialty like snakehead, or if you're targeting bowfin, like, it helps to be ready so that you're not like, oh, they bent out the hooks on my little popper I was throwing trying to get bit. That was my concern today. I was like, this weather's screaming popper to me. I'm like, but I'm targeting bowfin. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and the treble hooks, trying to hook the treble hooks.
That's exactly it.
Bowfin.
Terrible. That's going to end badly.
Yeah.
End very badly, man.
No way.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you so much, dude. Do me a favor. DM me a picture of you just holding a tank. And we're going to use it for the artwork for this show. And this show is going to drop on Tuesday.
All right. Sounds good, man.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good one. I'll see you.
You too.
Absolutely right. absolutely right. I actually busted out with that sound effect on Binya's live stream last night when I said something and I was like, oh yeah, the more you know. I forget what we were even talking about. Those of you that were watching the live stream, I was like 3 sheets to the wind. A bunch of ramp beers. I think I had 4 at the launch. Had another one when I got home, and then right before we went live, I still have the can down here because I'm fucking degenerate drunk. A Two Roads Fruity Juicy, which is absolutely delicious. But this, in the words of the one and only Jabberhammer himself,
it's got 7.6 alcohols.
That's what it's got. Yeah, man, it was something else. It's
awesome.
Yeah, I was a mess last night. We had ourselves a good time. That conversation with Robert was absolutely great. I told him, I was like, when he mentioned that he comes up to this area in Sterling, like once a month. I was like, no shit. I was like, well, dude, next time you fucking come up here, let a bitch know. Yeah. I'm like, we'll go, we'll fish a little bit. And then, you know what, actually, dude, the 3 of us should do a send. And then go out for wings and beer. I mean, you know what? No, let's go to Timber Yard.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Do that too.
It's perfect. Yep. I love it. Look at this. We're making plans already. We're just extending that Jigs and Bigs family. I'll tell you, dude. I now have the urge to do some tackle shopping on American Snakehead, and there are some specialized baits that are designed after hearing like Robert and his use of like some of the frogs and how many, like, I think when you're using topwater frog, you're catching bowfin or snakehead. That plastic has a very limited shelf life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like toothy teeth, like fish like that. My God. But he's like, I've got a couple of them that have lasted me an entire year. And I'm like, that's pretty good, man. They have to be made pretty heavy duty, because I think if you're throwing like a pad crasher, you're giving a donation to that snakehead. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to get absolutely annihilated. But good stuff, man. Really, really good interview. It was great having him on. Guys, we're going to wrap this sucker up as we always do here at Jigs and Bigs. We have a couple of really good things planned. Remember that the June slot limit tournament is coming up June the 29th. Registration is available. There are very few people registered right now. I'm hoping that people are going to take the leap and register as we get into like maybe the last couple of weeks. As we close in on it, they might join. I've got a lot of people who are talking about getting in on it. Of course, the May scavenger hunt this week is wrapping up, and we're going to be launching June. Registration is open for that. You can register for both the June multi-species scavenger hunt and the bass tournament, the slot tournament that's happening. All that information is on the caption of this podcast. You can just go ahead right there. Boom, you are good to go. Couple of things, Joe. And so we have had a number of orders for Jigs and Bigs merch that are a couple of real popular items just are rarely in stock with any kind of availability. And I'm talking primarily like flat brim hats seem to go out like that. And then hoodies, they also just disappear. Like they're none of the distributors that our company uses seems to have these things. So some folks are just like, they're waiting months and months and months, and eventually I just refund them their money. And I'm like, look, we can't get these items. I stumbled on another service for merch that has a couple of really cool things. Now, I have already, if you go to the Jigs and Bigs store, you can order them right now. They're on there. There are, there's, I think, is it 2 hats or 3 hats that I put on the store? Let's go ahead. We'll take a look right here. We're doing it live. We are doing it live. So there's a couple of things that I put on here. One of them is a bubble-free sticker. So now you can order a Jigs and Bigs sticker on the Jigs and Bigs store. Now, all of the old items are still there. And I'm going to tell you, if you're looking at some of the hats and you order on the old ones, I tried to price them actually so that they were lower than the other ones, specifically the hats. But there are I put 5 brand new items on here. We've got a sticker that you can order, and there's 3 sizes. There's a 3, a 4, and a 5-inch sticker. So you can order those, which makes life that much easier. If you folks want to get yourself a Jigs and Bigs sticker to rock on your boat, on your vehicle, on your tackle boxes, on your significant other as pasties, I'm into it. You know, whatever the fuck you want to do. We have 3 hats. We've got the trucker hat cap with a flat brim, and then we have the flat bill cap that's got like all fabric sides, because that's just the way your boy likes to rock it. I like to have something with a mesh back for when I'm outdoors, and then something with a cloth for when it's more of a dressy situation. Like if we're at a show or something, like that's what I'm going to be rocking.
Yeah.
We also have for the first time is like a standard trucker cap, right? With a curved brim. And these hats are the Richardson 112s. Super, super popular hat. And I actually picked that one, Joe, because I think a lot of the hats you wear fit that mode.
Sweet.
I think they are. I think most of them are. And then this is one thing that I added, and they don't unfortunately carry it in a large enough size for me. So I'm going to have Sean the Fisherman model it for me, which sounds disgusting. But they do oversized tie-dye t-shirts with embroidered logos. Not printed. Yeah, I'm like, that is insane. We've always wanted to do something like this. Sean and I had talked about this, I think, year one, the idea of doing a tie-dye style shirt. Because, we're fucking hippies and, it's like, it's all good. Bobby Roast Beef is embracing the fact that he's a deadhead now. That's like apparently just a thing. So they have them in 4 different colors that you can get to. There's what they call Milky Way, which is like a black and gray, a navy and white. The sherbet rainbow is a little bit more like pastel-y. The classic rainbow is like your classic tie-dye. And then there's a black and white, which is just freaking sweet, dude. It is just absolutely sweet. So, yeah. Good stuff. So that's available, all of that now, but I am adding more stuff. And the designs that you guys like from the old store, those are all staying there. I'm just going to be deleting like the old hats, the problem stuff that was an issue with keeping in stock and everything. So I've got a couple of samples coming in to make sure everything is up to snuff. The brands of the garments themselves seem to look really, really good. So the flat bill caps, I think they're Yupong, and those are really, really good. Actually, both of them, the mesh back and the cloth back. Very, very cool. I also want to mention, not available on our store, but there's rumblings of a Jigs and Bigs and Hookset Hoodlums collaboration.
Oh boy.
Yep, there's rumblings. We got to figure out if it's even possible for us to do it, because this will be a whole other beast. Like, we're going to have to put money up for a certain cut of stock of these shirts or the hats or whatever it is we're going to work on. But there's talk about it. So I'm saying that to put it in the ether so that way we can make it come true. But yeah, Jigs and Bigs merch available for you guys. It's probably something I should have mentioned in the first segment. I'm going to mention it again next week in the first segment. But yeah, that was just I remembered I set the store up and we're good to go. Freaking awesome, man. Joe,
that's awesome, dude.
Do you have anything you want to wrap up with? Anything you want to, let the people know or anything like that?
No, man. Keep looking at the YouTube channel. I'm working on it. Got some more stuff coming in. American Vet Fishing on YouTube. Currently, I'm actually going to probably be doing some editing tonight. Hopefully drop another one either tonight or tomorrow night. But other than that, man, I'm about to roll out and go fucking spend way too much money on a mower. There you go. Yeah, I love that, man. Then a party.
Yes, that's what I got to do. I got to run around and find some specific ingredients for my drink of choice tonight.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens. Have a great and a nice long weekend, everybody. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid. And as always, like we always say here at Jigs and Bigs,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.